Yes.
Okay. Today is Friday, April the 19th, 2024. I, Joe Franco, am interviewing Mr. Ray Espinoza at the Rocky Mountain Regional VA Medical Center in Aurora, Colorado, as part of the VA's Remembering Our Veterans program. So, Mr. Espinoza, tell me about your childhood, such as where you were born, where you grew up, in your early education.
I was born in southern Colorado in a town called Walsenburg. I was educated there. I went to grade school and high school, and then I left high school to get married, and then I joined the Marine Corps.
So even as a young artist, did you practice your art, your interest?
I used to draw pictures for my mother because she liked to embroider, and I would draw some flowers or cartoons or birds and stuff like that, and that's how I got interested in drawing and painting.
You know, let me ask you this question, not to put any of your teachers in a bad light, but did you draw in the classroom while they were trying to teach you?
Well, the teachers used to ask me to design stuff for the bulletin board, and that's how I became interested in it. And then I used to do decorations for the holidays in different windows for the businesses in our hometown.
So they encouraged you to use
Yeah.
your talent.
Yeah, and some lady hired me to work in a plaster figurine shop, and that was a good experience because she taught me how to sculpt and how to make molds, and consequently I learned real good because I used that later on in life to sculpt, and I even taught sculpting myself.
Mm-hmm. So you don't have any of your sculptures here, though? Early ones?
Here in the hospital, no,
Okay.
but I do have pictures of some of them.
Do you have any of those pictures with you?
Yes.
The sculptures?
Yeah, they're in my portfolio.
Which will, later on, we'll get into
Okay.
seeing some of those.
Yeah.
What motivated you to join the military? Were you drafted or did you enlist?
No, I was in search of employment
Okay.
because there was nothing to do in my hometown because it was such a small place. And at that time they had, it was a town for mines, coal mines. And at that time, the mines had shut down, so there was very little employment. And I was working in a shop at the time for it was like a job shop, and drawing or making 50 cents an hour, so
Wow.
it wasn't really enough to support my family.
At 50 cents an hour.
Yeah. So my brother and I decided to join the Marine Corps. And we followed up two of my older brothers who were also Marines.
Was money really scarce with your family when you were growing up?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you,
I'm
ma'am.
sorry. Was money really scarce when you were growing up?
Yeah, yeah.
And
We were so poor that the mice had to eat the cockroaches.
So were you and your brothers trying to help your family out with earning income?
Not really, because I was already married and I was looking to support my own family.
Okay.
But prior to joining the Marines, my mother had been murdered on the streets, and
Oh, wow.
I came from a family of 13, and I was the only one married, so my wife and I took over the family, and we help raise them. And later on, my father took over the family, and my wife and I raised my youngest sister, who was only 5 months old when my mom died.
That's awful.
Yeah.
What was that experience like for you?
Well, I don't really remember a lot of it because I was in the Marine Corps.
Right.
Yeah, and my wife was the one who was responsible for her upbringing to the fact until I got out of the Marine Corps.
Mm-hmm.
I served 2 years active and 6 years reserve.
Mm-hmm.
So she was real little when I was in there.
Yeah.
But she's an old lady now.
Is she really? Yeah.
But she still calls me my first name instead of Dad. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's probably some fondness in that,
Yeah, yeah,
even though it's
yeah,
the first name.
yeah.
In terms of your service, while you were in your service, this country, did you travel?
I went overseas in Japan. I was in Japan for 14 months.
Was that your choice, or was that an assignment?
No, that was my orders.
Your orders to go to
Yeah.
Japan.
Yeah.
And how did you feel at that time leaving the United States? And
Well, I was kind of excited because I'd never been to a foreign country before.
Mhm.
But it was a new experience for me.
And you left directly from
Boot
what?
camp. No, it was tent camp.
Did
it
you
was,
fly?
Combat training.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now, how did you get from Walsenburg to
well, we
San Diego?
we came to Denver to enlist
Okay.
because the recruiting office was here in Denver, and we enlisted here, and they shipped us to San Diego by airplane.
Okay.
At that time, it took like 6 hours to get to San Diego. They didn't have jets at that time.
Mm.
So it was a prop plane,
Yeah,
a transport plane.
yeah, it still had bicycle parts, I think.
Like the right price.
Yeah.
But the-
So that was your first time to be on an aircraft?
Yeah, I had never been on a plane before, but when I was overseas in a warehouse unit, we flew quite a bit, going and transporting equipment and gear.
Uh-huh.
But we traveled in different things like railroads and ships and whatnot.
When you enlisted, did you enlist in the infantry or artillery, or what was your specific job?
Well, everybody's a basic Marine, but you have different duties. I was selected to go to like quartermaster duties, and that was my MOS. But everybody's a basic Marine.
And did you choose that, or was that just?
No, that was an assignment.
Mhm.
So it sounds like when you went into the service, everything was an assignment. You didn't have much of a
Yeah,
choice to do.
You didn't do what you wanted. You did what was told.
Just follow directions.
Yeah, yeah.
So in boot camp, I understand it's very difficult in the Marines. Do you have any tough stories from there?
Well, one of my accomplishments in boot camp, I came out of a boot camp that's known as the honor camp or honor platoon, and I was selected by the chief drill instructor as an honor man in the platoon, but the junior drill instructor gave it to somebody else because I didn't snap to for him, so he took it away from me and gave it to my friend next to me.
Mm.
And in my mind, I'm still the honor man. And I have pictures to show that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Do you have those with you?
Yeah.
Pictures? Would you like to show those to us?
Yeah. It's in there somewhere in my
Okay.
portfolio.
Let me ask you a question, and I noticed that you have some medals there, and during that period of time that you were in the Marines, can you kind of give a little brief?
Well, these are all just related to the Marine Corps and symbolic of things that I like, you know. But when I was in the Marine Corps, President Eisenhower froze the rank and the pay, so I went right back to poverty, and I never made any rank. I went in a private, and I came back a civilian because of him.
Were you
And
private
we-
first class?
Sorry?
Were you private first class? Did you make E3?
I made private first class once, and it lasted about 2 weeks, and they took it back because I didn't make roll call one morning, and they took it away as a punishment, I guess.
That's awful.
But it took me 9 months to make PFC because when my brother and I went into the Marine Corps, they had cut out the PFC stripe in boot camp, which you got automatically, but they cut it out in 2 weeks before we got there.
Oh.
So I had to wait like 9 months to make mine. And then Eisenhower took it away from me, I guess. So I went back to poverty. I joined the Marine Corps for employment, but I only made like $178 a month, and that was enough to support 4 people, myself, my wife, and our 2 kids. Well, my kid and my sister.
Mhm.
So we went through a rough time.
Yeah.
Were you with your brother during boot camp and in your service, or were you eventually separated?
No, my brother and I started in the same platoon for quite a while, and then when they discovered that he was too young to be in the service, they separated him, and he went to a separation unit, and I finished boot camp on my own.
And you didn't see your brother from that point on,
No, I
During-
didn't see him anymore till I got back home.
is it?
Yeah.
That must have been, for a young man going to a different country, being in a different environment, to kind of lose your brother was.
Yeah, well, my brother and I grew up together, and we were real close, so I did miss him quite a bit.
I'll bet.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a couple of questions in regards to your medals. These medals here, could you give us an idea of
Well,
what they stand
this
for?
is the Marine Corps logo,
Uh-huh.
and these are just buttons that I like. These buttons on my jacket are from my dress blues. My daughter that I raised, actually my sister, she made this jacket for me.
She did?
Yeah.
Very nice.
She was a seamstress in her employment,
Mm-hmm.
so she designed the jacket for me. And
And,
that's what these medals or
right,
things are.
okay.
Yeah.
And the POW?
The POW is just my way of expressing my feelings about the missing persons in the Marines or in the military. I just,
And there's still quite a few POWs
yeah. Well,
that
there's a lot of missing
missing.
people, yeah. But that's what that is. This is just the division I belonged to when I was in the Marine Corps overseas. It was the 3rd Marine Division, and it's quite famous for a lot of battles. The main one, I think, is Iwo Jima, And that was probably the toughest battle in the Marine Corps, to my recollection. And I'm quite partial to one of the heroes in Iwo Jima by the name of John Basilone, who was recipient of the highest honor in the Marine Corps or in the military. And he also came back and he helped raise funds for the war through selling war bonds because of his accomplishment in the service. I got a portrait I did of him too.
I noticed that you have a lot of portraits, and were these primarily portraits of men in the service that you had?
You know, I got a portraits of some of my favorite Marines and military people. I've done a lot of them, but I've got portraits of a lot of famous people and a lot of military and sports people, actors, singers. I've done a lot of people.
Is your art on display at any place, like the Denver Art Museum?
No, I was rejected 13 times from the Denver Art Museum, and I finally gave up. But I do have the Denver Public Library owns some of my work in 2 different libraries, and I have some of my work in my hometown, the Museum of Modern Art, the State Historical Society there, and also the library there. They own some of my work.
And have you ever displayed your work here at the VA?
Yeah, I've displayed my work here twice before, but I haven't done it for a while.
You know, we have an annual art show at the VA. Did you know about that?
No.
I think you can go through the volunteer office and they will tell you how that works and get you in touch with the people who are the ones actually holding the art there.
Yeah, you know, well, I was interested in displaying some of my writings because I'm also a poet, a songwriter, and an author, a historian, if you will. And I've got several manuscripts. The Denver Public Library owns a couple of my manuscripts. They own some of my sculptures and drawings and some of my writings even.
I'd love to see some of your sculptures too.
Yeah. Thank you.
So all in all, in terms of the service, you spent how many years?
I spent 2 years active and 6 years inactive in the reserves.
In the reserve.
Yeah.
And so were you like IR ready to go? An instant ready?
Yeah, you're on call for 24 hours.
Right.
Yeah.
So instant ready reserves.
Yeah.
IRR.
Yeah.
Well, did you?
I was discharged in '62, an honorable discharge, I might mention. All of my brothers were.
They were all discharged by 1962?
Yeah, honorable discharges. Yeah.
So you just barely missed the Vietnam War.
Yeah, I missed the Bay of Pigs,
Right.
the Vietnam War. I was lucky I didn't go to Korea,
Yeah,
so I was pretty lucky, I guess.
you were.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also a veteran of the Cold War, so
Right.
yeah. And I missed that too.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
But I took advantage of the military because when I was discharged, I used the GI Bill to purchase my house, and they backed up my loan.
Mhm.
So I took advantage of that, and I also took advantage of the education. I went to art school, and they paid part of the fees for the art school.
That's great.
So, and then I'm fortunate because I have used the Veterans Hospital
Mhm.
since 1959.
That's great.
I was a patient in the old hospital in 1959 up till today.
Mhm.
And I'm grateful to them because I've even had bypass surgery,
Mhm.
and they're great doctors.
Mhm.
Not only that, but I also get a small grant from the Marine Corps.
That's good. Mhm. Is that for a service-connected disability?
Yeah.
And they rated you on your hand.
No.
Sure. They didn't.
No, that was afterwards. My service connection is my hearing. They blew my hearing when I was in the Marine Corps, so
Right.
I'm service connected because of that.
Right.
Mhm.
And do you have tinnitus, ringing in the ear?
Not anymore. I got these nice hearing aids.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I don't hear those buzzards anymore.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. But they're pretty good. You know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. I'm glad they can help you here at the hospital.
Yeah.
It's good to know.
Yeah, I'm very grateful to the VA. They have good food here too.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to see what they have after this interview.
Yeah. Okay.
And
I'll take you up on it.
okay, but for overall, what was the best part of your service experience? Do you feel that the spending of the active duty and also the time that you spend as a reservist, right?
Hmm.
What do you feel? And let me rephrase that question in a way. Having a family, would you recommend that have your sons or daughters go into the military, into the service?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned before, I'm grateful to the Marine Corps for several reasons, but it's a good experience because it's a learning experience, and they teach you a lot, and a lot of that you use as a civilian. So I would recommend anybody to go in the military, not only to defend their country and themselves, but to benefit uh, some of their life in later life.
Mm-hmm.
And it's been a great experience for me.
Okay, overall, it's you look back and you say, it
Yeah,
was,
and I was recommended for reenlistment, but luckily I didn't have to go.
so
And I have some regrets, but I don't think I'll go into that.
okay,
Like I mentioned earlier that they froze the rank and the pay, you know. But all in all, it paid off for me.
good. I mean, as a young man going into the service from Walsenburg, it's a big step.
Mm-hmm.
It was a
Yeah, well, you know, like I mentioned before, there's quite a few Marines out of my hometown, and everybody looked down on you if you were a soldier or in the Navy or whatever. You had to be a Marine, so we joined the Marine Corps and became part of the clan, I guess you might say.
yeah, yeah. Well, did you recall, to recall any particularly humorous or unusual event while you were in this service that changed your life and how you looked at life?
No, not anything particular, but I'm grateful to some of the training because I used it in my
Okay.
upbringing and my life, and I'm grateful for that, you know. But I recommend it for any young man.
Like him, like Ben.
Yeah.
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 So yes, I'm commissioning in the Army in a couple months.
Oh yeah.
Hearing what you have to say, how much it's benefited you is really good to hear. So
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of stuff that you could take advantage of when you get out, you know, like your education, for instance. I was educated. I went through art school with the help of the military, and I graduated a 4-year course in 2 years because I guess I was that good. I don't know. And then I went back and I taught sculpture work to my instructors, as a matter of fact. So, being able to use the GI Bill to go to school was very helpful. And consequently, when I was already a known artist, I went to from the 8th grade into teaching in college because I already had a name for myself and they wanted me to teach. So I helped found the Aurora campus at Denver Community College, and I taught there for almost 5 years. I taught art, basic drawing, painting, design, and art of the Southwest.
Now, why did you quit teaching at some point in time? Or did you move
Well,
on to teach elsewhere?
the fellow that hired me to teach left to go get his PhD, and they gave the job to some lady, and the woman, she was a woman, and we couldn't get along, so I didn't renew my contract. I just left.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you old enough to retire by then, or did you?
No,
move on to another
I
job?
had a commercial art business going because I was also I don't know, I don't mean to brag, but I helped found a lot of places, like not only the Denver Community College, but an art shop. It was called Fine Art Center Training, and I helped found the CHOC, which is a Chicano organization, and another place called Centro Cultural. I was a teacher there, and the West Side Youth Center. I was also part of the Bottle Cities program for the Arts and Humanities in Denver, and several other places like the group workshop and a group called YMI. I belong to a lot of these organizations.
Now, what is the group called YMI?
I'm sorry, I can't hear.
What is the group that is called YMI? I haven't heard
Oh,
of that
Youth
one.
Motivational Institute. We help young children to teach them art and music and art in general. And the Fact Finance Center training was with a group of different artists and musicians, poets, and even dancers.
Wow.
And we taught all these kids back in the 70s. I was the first gallery on Santa Fe in 1969 and 1970. And then I had another gallery back in the year 2003, and I held that for 3 years. And I had to move because they sold the building, so I was more or less canned. Yeah, but I never went back to opening up a gallery. But as a result, there was the first Friday on Santa Fe, which is quite popular now. But myself and another artist by the name of John Flores, bless his soul, he passed away about 21 years ago, but he was the second artist on Santa Fe. And there was also a pot shop there, which is still there, I think. And we were the first ones on Santa Fe. And then I belonged to a group called Centro Cultural, which I also helped found. They started the Cinco de Mayo celebration back in 1958 or 59, and it's still going.
Oh, yeah.
And then in the 80s, I also started an art show at the State Fair, and that's still going every year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So that's not your only hat that you're wearing today.
No, no. I have a list of my accomplishments. You know.
I saw that list.
Yeah.
It's very comprehensive.
Yeah. But I'm also on YouTube with 3 of my songs and 1 of my recordings.
Okay.
Yeah. I have like 7 recordings in Spanish and 1 recording in English. And those are some of my accomplishments, I guess.
We'll have to ask Anit and Ben if they can load up your songs on the website, if you're consented to put your interview on the website, on the YouTube site.
Yeah, well, I also have a video that they did of my artwork when I had a studio on Santa Fe. That was probably 2003, I think.
Wow.
Yeah,
We're going to have to figure out how to link all of that up.
yeah. Well, the call letters on YouTube for my song, I wrote a song about cancer, and that's what this song is on YouTube. And it's called Why Can't I Be Your Miracle? And it became quite famous. They picked it up, and I opened up the show for, I forget what his name is even, a country western star. He has a show every year for Veterans Day, and I opened up his show about 2 years ago. Alan Jackson is his name.
Okay.
Yeah. And I kid with my daughter. I says, I made Alan Jackson famous because I opened up his show. But he's one of her favorites. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
But they like my song, so. But you can get it on YouTube. It's under Ray Records a Country Song.
Okay. Thank you.
Ray, you've been a giver all your life. There's, to a certain extent, what people say, you're a giver or you're a taker or you're a matcher. You know, and how successful people are, sometimes you give the takers all the credit. But as a giver, do you feel like it's about time the society's paying you back more so than they already have? Because you give a lot. From the moment that you joined the service, you were given your time, possibly your life or your physical life, if you would have been sent to Korea, for example. you took that chance, but yet at the same time you wanted to go into the service. You volunteered instead of being drafted or that type of thing. Do you think that you could have been more of a taker, or are you happy with your life as being more of a giver?
Well, my daughter talked to me, my oldest daughter, the other day, and she said, Dad, we're going to miss you when you're gone because you've given so much. You've raised your family, you raised your brothers and sisters, you raised us all, and you've been giving us everything, and you've never taken anything. So
even within your family, you were a giver, and outside your family, you were a giver to your community.
Right.
You were a giver to the country.
Yeah. I was also a giver to the community because I taught.
Right.
And I have, when I finished teaching, I was kind of proud because 2 of my students went to become famous as artists of their own, and that was an accomplishment. I used that as a feather in my cap, but I never really took a credit for it because it was their doing, not mine, and that's the way I've felt. I've got quite a bit of longevity because I'm 88 years old, but I'm still going, and
well, I'm
still giving, I guess.
Well, I think that says a lot.
Yeah.
Because so many people pass away at a much younger age than that.
Yeah.
And it would be interesting to see if they were givers or takers and matchers. The matching part is that quid pro quo. I'll scratch your back if you scratch my back.
Yeah.
You've done a lot of scratching of backs.
Yeah. And I haven't reaped a lot of rewards either.
But,
just satisfaction.
And that's part of the reason why you're 88 and still driving.
Yeah.
So that's one of the things we're concerned about is saying, he's not here yet. And I thought, well, darn, maybe he got lost.
Yeah.
But at 88, you're doing pretty good.
Yeah.
And maybe you should take that into consideration for your own peace of mind. Hey, I gave a lot, but I'm in good health, and I'm happy with my life. I'm happy with my family.
Well, I'm still giving, and I'm hopeful that I can continue to give because I got several manuscripts, a lot of music to publish, and if I was able to publish, I could still give more, but they could learn some of my stuff through my manuscripts and through my music.
Yeah.
And that would be, as you say, giving something. So hopefully long after I'm gone, I'm still giving because some of the work that I've done will outlast me in several other lifetimes, like my sculpture work, for instance, some of my paintings, and I'm kind of proud of that, I guess.
Well, good. You're leaving a legacy for your family.
Yeah.
And
a lot of the stuff has to deal with the Marine Corps because I've got a lot of artwork that I've done of Marines and military people. So that'll outlive me too.
So do you expect to kind of stay your artistic life, your as an artist, as a musician, as a poet? Do you think that you are going to stay within that culture to bring it out?
Well, I hope to continue giving,
Yeah. Where people know it more.
Yeah.
Because
it's not so much whether they know it or not, but it's more like if they can appreciate it, because a lot of it is part of what I've gone through in history, and a lot of it is what I've learned in my lifetime, you know. So that's what a lot of my music is, and some of my poetry, and some of it is in the library already, so they can take advantage of that.
Mm-hmm.
If they show me desire, I don't know.
Well, I think it's getting to the point that this country is becoming more diverse,
Yeah,
and some of your work will go toward making it more diverse, where you have people talking to each other and saying, "Well, I didn't know that about Ray. That he was an artist. He was a poet."
yeah. Well, hopefully it'll help make an awareness of some of our people, you know, because
In a positive light.
yeah,
In a positive light, right?
yeah.
What is the single most favorite place or favorite thing that you have created that you want to be known for, that you're passing down to the next generation?
Yeah, well, probably my song for cancer would be one. Another one of my most famous sculpture pieces will be here maybe 500 years from now,
Mm-hmm.
because it's in bronze. But I have several other bronze pieces that outlast me too, that people might enjoy later on.
Mm-hmm.
And some of them, well, one piece of my work is in the Denver Public Library. It's a sculpture piece. It's a head of one of the, I call him a general because he was the chief of the Sioux Indians. He's called Chief Red Cloud. He's the only Indian in history that made the white man turn tail and run, or accomplished what he started out to do. And I admired him for that, so I did a sculpture piece of that.
Mm-hmm.
But I've done a lot of Indian work too, and a lot of Mexican work.
Have you been adopted by any tribes, Native American tribes?
No, but in my ancestry we have Apache blood and Navajo, and I was married to a Ute, so there's quite a bit of Indian in our family.
Right.
My kids are a quarter part Ute.
Well, that's one of the reasons why a lot of Indian names are Spanish surnames.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah, a lot of Indians have Latino names.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
because they intermingled with the Spanish people.
right.
And my ancestry goes back to Spain. We came in 1563, I think, in Colorado. So I go back. I'm the 6th generation out of my family, and I'm the oldest in my own family. And we have 5 generations. Excuse me. David, can you call me back?
I sure can.
Okay, thanks.
Well, you know, I think you've seen a lot in your 85 years, from the service to culture awareness that you've tried to bring out. You know, one of the things that I've always said to people in terms of the acceptance and the diverse nature of our society, where there's some definite unfortunate divisions in our social structure. But I think one of the things that I've always kept in mind, the people that most influenced me to be where I am now with college education, were white people, considered to be white. I mean, you know, my coach by the name of O'Hare, basketball coach, who's Irish, obviously, my coach in football, Coach Reese, was a white coach. And some of my teachers, Overton, Thompson, I can name them all practically. They made an impression on mine. They took me in and without any kind of prejudice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's going to happen more and more with your kind of work.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, hey, we do have talent. It just needs to be developed by somebody that cares. And I have enough confidence in our society that there's enough teachers, whether they be white, Anglo, black, that if they take these students at that age and develop them, we have people more like yourself. It comes back, if you look back and say, who helped me who I am now?
Yeah.
You know, but even in the service was the
I take
same.
some of the credit because I was a teacher, you know.
Yeah.
And I taught a lot of the kids.
Yeah.
And some of them were going through college because they took art because it was a prerequisite.
Yeah.
But I feel proud that some of them took my class, and I was noted as a pretty good teacher. So according to my resume, the people that helped me in my development, you know. So I think not only did I help the white people, but also my own people, because as I mentioned before, I helped develop a lot of different organizations, you know, and I think I did my part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were positive. They were positive influences on the culture.
Yeah, I don't take any credit for it, but I do, now that you mention it, I do feel that I did my part to help realize that our people have a little talent too.
Yeah.
You know.
And they can contribute.
Yeah. And it goes way back to the Aztecs and Mayans and whatnot, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think with your life after 80 plus years, I think you've accomplished a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
well, I've been accredited for that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because I've done a lot of things. Yeah. Besides raising my own family.
How many did you raise?
I'm sorry?
How many did you raise? How many?
Oh, my wife and I had 6 of our own, and we fostered 2.
8. So you're influenced for 8 people.
Yeah.
Because you raised them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are they still all living in Colorado?
Well, some of them, yeah, but 2 of them are gone now. But I take credit because none of my kids have ever seen me under the influence or intoxicated. So I guess I accomplished something.
That's a pretty significant accomplishment.
Yeah.
Especially in our society nowadays.
Yeah, and they're all straight kids, you know.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's a feather in my cap, and my wife, I guess, because she was the matriarch, you might say.
Now, do you still have family in Walsenburg?
My some nephews and nieces and one of my sisters still live there.
Mm-hmm.
But most of them are either in Denver or Pueblo.
Yeah. And Pueblo is growing a lot too, isn't it?
Yeah.
What kind of spirituality or church were you raised in?
Well, I've always been a Catholic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And I've done a lot of religious work too. Some of my music is religious too.
Mm-hmm. And are you still considering yourself a Catholic?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I could show you one of my songs that I wrote about Lazarus
Uh-huh.
and some about Jesus. And I'm quite proud of that.
Yeah.
They haven't been published, but I still have them.
So your faith is still very strong.
Yeah. Yeah, I still believe in Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Yeah.
How has your spirituality influenced your life and your service?
I'm sorry.
How has your spirituality influenced your life and your service to your country?
Well, I've always believed in the Bible, and I have always walked a straight and narrow path. I think it was because of my upbringing. My people were all Catholics, and we followed the Catholic religion. So I guess because of that, I've had a decent life.
Yeah. Sounds like you were very blessed.
Mm-hmm.
Well, one of the things that we like to talk to you about is a little bit your hobbies after you're out of the service and so forth. But your hobby is right there on that table,
Well,
isn't it?
I've done a lot of things. I supported my family, my immediate family, by cooking, carpentry work, mechanics, and I even cut hair. So I've done a lot to help my family.
And that all was really influential in bonding together with your.
Yeah, somewhat. And some of my hobbies are like writing, poetry, and drawing, painting, sculpture.
Yeah, that's keeps
So
you going.
It keeps me busy, yeah.
Yeah. Let me ask you, you have grandchildren now, I'm
I
assuming.
have great-grandchildren.
You have
Like I
great-grandchildren.
mentioned before, I'm the oldest of 5 generations.
So you're the patriot,
Yeah.
or the patriarch.
Right.
So when people need to make a decision, do they come to you and ask for your opinion? And
Some of them, yeah. But I try to keep them on a narrow, straight path, But they're pretty brilliant themselves, so I don't mess with that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Now, do you have artists coming up? Do you have grandchildren that you see artistic
Abilities? Yeah. Some of my son, bless his soul, was a real good artist. He made his living partially by his art. And I have grandkids that are pretty good artists. And they don't practice it and they don't make it a vocation, but they can hold their own, I guess, with a pencil or a brush.
You don't see that drive that you had when you were at that age.
They're not dedicated to be artists, professional artists. They just do it as a pastime, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were saying you lost a son then?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Yeah. He was my firstborn.
I'm sorry.
He was 65 when he passed. I was like 18 years older than him because when I went in the Marine Corps, he was just like 3 months old. Let's see. No, 2 months. He was born in March and I joined the Marine Corps in May.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were gone a good part of his early years.
Yeah. My wife was the one that was bringing him up. Yeah.
So she was primarily the educator,
Yeah. She cracked the whip.
crap. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
She's the one that Usually
as a
you had the
credit.
father being the hammer and the wife being the soft hammer. She's the
Yeah.
one that forgives.
Yeah,
That's the way it was in my family.
yeah.
What are some of the things now that you've been out of the service, obviously, that you miss?
From being in the Marine Corps?
Yeah, the discipline, the organization, the setting goals, because obviously it's
Well,
very structured.
yeah, I miss some of my buddies, that went through a lot that I did. That's basically it. But I I really don't miss a whole lot of military activity. But I have mentioned that I'm accredited or grateful for what they
Yeah.
taught me.
Right.
So, and I used a lot of that in my own experience in my own life. So it was not only a learning process, but beneficial. I might say.
Beneficial. Well, maybe we can get something started here with some of his art, right? To help him, if you're interested, to hang some of your work up on the hallways,
Yeah.
because obviously,
Yeah, well, I'd be more than proud to do that because I have a lot of works that are dealing with the military.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it would be good.
Yeah, you might just get your own showcase
Yeah.
with all the work you've done.
Yeah. Well, that would be nice. I would be more than willing to do something like that.
Right.
I've even donated some of my work.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But this country is a great country, and from my viewpoints, they're the greatest country in the world, I think, for a number of things. Okay, is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. What do you think the civilians should know about the military to make us stronger? What do you think the civilians need to know about military life, military living?
Yeah. Well, I think when I was young, I was more than willing to do my part, not only because I wanted to make a living for my family, but I was adventurous enough to join because I wanted some experience. And I had talked to my older brothers, and they more or less agreed that it was probably the best thing we could do. And I still agree with that because the military taught me a lot, and I used a lot in my own background or life.
Mm-hmm.
And I would recommend for anybody to follow our footsteps, and not only to defend our country, but to defend themselves, and experience things that might benefit their own way of living. And I think we're a strong country because of that. And if everybody thought, well, if we could do our part, why not? Because if you look at all of the veterans that come to the VA hospital, for instance, you can see some of them that really went through suffering, but you stop to think a lot of them didn't make it back, So we have to be grateful to them for what we have. But somebody had to lay it on the line. And I wrote something I could show you in poetry form that has to do with the veterans. And we could talk about that.
Good.
Is
Let me
Is
ask
it
you-
time to bring that out?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Let me ask you one question. And as an individual that has seen civilian life and military life and seen the advantages, disadvantages, do you think this country ought to have a draft, a requirement for young men to go through and be in the military for a short time?
Well, I don't think it would hurt, but I think everybody should do their part, and it should be voluntarily. And that's how I felt when I enlisted, you know. And my brothers and I felt the same way, I think.
Well,
That poem is right there.
So what was
No, this is.
the most important lesson that you got out of being a Marine? What was the most valuable?
Most valuable? Well, there's quite a few things, I guess, but I guess the most important thing was trying to be part of the defense for our country, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody, like I mentioned before, ought to do their part, you know, and not just go along for a free ride, you know.
Right.
So I think that's the most important thing, to be able to contribute
Thank you.
in some way or another. Like they just had some, I guess, celebration to the women that were in the Second World War, known as the, what do they call those?
Waves or wax?
Yeah, but they were called something else.
Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah, Rosie the Riveter.
Yeah.
They did their part. That's what everybody ought to do.
Right.
You know, not just go along for the ride.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you think right now that there's a lot of people in this country that's going along for the free ride and don't see our responsibility in the world? And I guess that's what I meant about the draft, to be ready, because you never know. We're in a kind of in a tough situation right now with Hamas and Israel.
In the middle, yeah.
We're in the middle. Are we strong enough that if something was to happen, would it be strong? Do you feel that we're strong enough military-wise now?
I do, because being a ex-military man and knowing what I know about the military, I think we're more than ready. But we have to be on the alert too, because there are other countries that have picked up our knowledge and can use it against us. The same way as Japan did when they bombed Pearl Harbor. They took advantage of our situation, I guess. And we got to be aware that anything can happen, I guess. And as I mentioned before, everybody ought to do their part. And that's the only way to maintain complete freedom, I think, and democracy.
Well, at this point, I suppose that we can look at your profession or articles from your profession.
Yeah.
And this is something that obviously you will do for the rest of your life, is be an artist and a
Yeah.
sculptor and a poet.
Well, that's going to be my legacy, I think.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think so. Can we go ahead and start with some of the drawings that you've done?
So this which, let me ask you one thing about this.
Moreover,
Is that a very famous photograph or painting? But it was a photograph, right?
it's a photograph, yeah.
And
Joe Rosenthal was the guy that took the picture during the Second World War. Yeah, and it's probably the most famous picture of the Second World War or the military as far as that goes. And I'm quite proud of that. And I've done it several times. And that would be one that I would like to exhibit here. Not this particular painting because that's no longer in my collection, but it would be significant with the VA and our military.
we don't have that here now, do we?
No.
We don't have that anywhere
No,
here.
that disappeared from the VA. I don't know whatever happened to it.
Okay. Now, is this here is a photograph
It's a photograph of one of my paintings, yes.
of one of your paintings?
Mhm.
And where is that painting now? Do you know?
I don't know.
They don't know.
No.
Nobody knows.
No, we tried to search it and look for it, but nobody knew where it went.
Can
And that
somebody?
was in the old building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can somebody reproduce that and have this in this building?
I suppose, but I don't know. I have a drawing of the flag raising in Iwo Jima.
Was that?
It's also on my picture of my brothers and I. Yeah.
This here? That's right. These are your brothers.
Yeah. Marine
And-
Corps brothers.
And you sketched these while they were still in the military.
Yeah, yeah.
And these are did they pose for you?
These of my brothers are photographs.
Okay.
But I did a collage of the four of us
Mhm.
with a poster of the Second World War and the flag raising. That's what that is.
So now the ones I'm going to turn this page here. These are not photographs, but these are sketches of some of your.
Those are drawings.
Those are drawings.
What I call the Marine Corps World War II bosses. They were the generals that run the war in the Second World War. And one of them was the Marine Corps Commandant when I was in there. And that's the one over here. His name is Lemuel Shepard. He was the Commandant for all of us when we were in the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
The others are famous Marine Corps generals.
I am going to turn this again to your brothers.
Yeah.
Could you name them? Point them out and name them.
Yeah, my oldest brother's over here. His name was Claude. He was in combat in Korea. And the other one is my brother Noah. He was also in Korea. And the one over here is my brother Manuel, who was the youngest of the brothers. And the one on that side is me when I was 17.
17. Wow. Yeah. Just wanted to make because this is going to be going to your whole family. This interview.
Yeah.
And the video and so forth, but for you to point out that the names of your brothers that were in the service as well.
Yeah. I have also a nephew, his name is Vincent, who is a chaplain in the Marine Corps Reserve in Colorado Springs, who's also a Marine. Or he was in the Navy and then he went in the Marine Corps. There was also another famous actor by the name of Glenn Ford that was in the Navy and the Marine Corps.
Hmm.
And I'm quite proud of him. I have drawings of him too.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to.
You have another one here.
And what is this?
That's a painting I did of the 4th of July. It's an oil painting that I did some years back.
So what, as you were driving by, you just saw the flag on the porch and you decided to.
You know, I really don't remember how I came about it, but I did want to portray the flag as a symbol of the 4th of July. And that's what that is.
Yep. And it's good that you could bring it out because that's the real reason why we celebrate 4th of July.
Yeah. The flag.
Not just hot dogs and ice cream.
Yeah. Yeah. And that one there is a Veterans Day. My God.
This one here. Whoops.
Yeah.
That's
My version of the Veterans Day at the cemetery.
And that's where is that located?
What, the painting?
Yes.
I still have it in my collection.
Would that be something you would consider hanging in the building?
Yeah, yeah.
That is just that not only the veteran goes through, but the whole family goes through
The suffering, yeah.
the suffering.
Yeah. Yeah, it's significant, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Any other photographs or paintings?
Yeah, in the back of that, there's a painting that's in Washington. I sent that painting to Washington because when they bombed the Twin Towers in New York, I was painting it.
Wow.
And I felt it was significant enough that they could display it in Washington. So I sent that to George W. Bush, along with the portrait I did of him, and I was hoping that he'd autograph it for me and send it back. He kept the portrait and the painting, and he sent back a photograph with the letter, and that was all I got.
Hmm.
But I also have another president who I drew and he autographed for me. It was Clinton,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Clinton.
Did he autograph it for you?
Yeah, yeah. So I'm proud of those, I guess. But that particular painting is in Washington, and I did another large version, which is still in my collection.
You don't have a photograph of that, or
It's the
do you have a
same
copy?
thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
and it's when they made applesauce out of the Big Apple.
I've never heard that saying. It's pretty significant, though.
Yeah,
Well, united we stand.
mm-hmm.
With photographs like this, maybe that would be a clarion call for us to be united.
Yeah.
Not just united during wars, but united at all times.
Yeah, exactly.
Very good. Anything else that you would like to have from your...
Well, I was going to show that poetry of that I wrote it for veterans.
You should read it.
Yeah, I think reading it would be a great idea.
It's called Thank a Vet. If you love your freedom, friend, and all the luxuries you get, don't thank your lucky stars. Thank one who deserves. No, I'm sorry. It says, Thank the one deserving. Thank a vet. If you think that freedom is free and you're lucky for everything you get, someone had to lay it on the line. Think again and thank a vet. Freedom isn't free, friend. It costs someone their limbs or life. Better thank a vet who put their forth the strife. You may lose your gold, but while you're sulking and with regret, at least you have your life and health. It costs nothing. Thank a vet. Some mother's son went away, another lost his son today. Many more are being lost, you bet. So if you love your freedom, friend, thank a vet.
That was beautiful.
Thank a
That's
vet.
it. Yeah.
That definitely needs to go up in one of our art cases.
Yeah.
Well, they have,
Wow.
not only do they have artistic, but do they have poetry and,
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Definitely.
Yeah.
well, Mr. Espinosa, what else do you have over there that you feel?
Oh, I have a bunch of stuff. I have some of my drawings, a copy of one of my paintings in black and white, and then a picture of the artist.
Yeah. So now, do you have these?
So that's his self-portrait on the back.
No, that's just a photograph, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But it has some of my story and my logo.
And your logo?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Here, I'll take these.
Well, you have accomplished quite a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hopefully this time that we spent together will go a long way in keeping your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren aware of what you...
Well, I
Life
hope
was-
I have a legacy. I don't know. I'm trying. But I still have a ways to go because I want to get some of my work published, you know.
Well,
So-
if there's anything that we can do here to help
Yeah.
you put some of your work up in the hallways, we'll...
Yeah. Well, that would be nice, yeah.
Okay.
We'll talk with Ava today and find out who that point person is to get you registered for the art shows.
Mhm. Yeah, it used to be I don't recall her name, but I don't think she's there anymore. Somebody else took her place.
Okay.
But I would also I'd like to submit some of my writings as well as my artwork
That sounds awesome.
because like I mentioned before, I have several manuscripts, a lot of poetry too.
Well, in conclusion, is there anything else that you would like to add to...
No, just I think the opportunity to be able to present myself to whoever is interested. And thank you people for all your efforts. And that's about it, I guess.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
It's been a pleasure.
And thank you.
Tell me about your, Mr. Espinosa, tell me about your childhood, such as where you were born, where you grew up, and your early education.
I'm a native of Colorado, and I was born in Walsall, Colorado, southern Colorado. And I was educated there, and I enlisted in the Marine Corps there. in 1954.
Very good. And what motivated you to join the military?
When I was first married, I couldn't find employment in my hometown, and my brother and I talked about it, and we decided to join the Marine Corps to see if we could make a living for our family. So we enlisted, and we went to San Diego, California for boot camp. And the reason for that was that we couldn't find employment in our hometown. So we decided to join the Marine Corps.
And he's your older brother, or was he your younger brother?
He was my younger brother,
Okay, so
but two of my older brothers were already in the Marine Corps. Yeah, they were Marine Corps vets from Korea.
so they had a lot of influence on you as being younger than they were.
Yeah, well, my oldest brother was in the Army in World War II, but my brothers were part of a group that was in our town that belonged to the Marine Corps. I mean, they were also Marines, so they decided to join the Marine Corps too. So our town has quite a bit of Marines,
Walsenburg, you mean?
in Walsenburg.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, one more question along those lines. As family's been family, were they supportive of you going into the service, all of you practically at the same time?
No, not really, because we were separate. I was already married when I joined the Marine Corps.
Okay.
And my brothers were already in the Marine Corps. And my younger brother was married too, so we joined together.
So you were volunteers,
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
Okay. And you joined the Marine Corps, and you made a concerted effort to stay together with the same service.
My brother was younger than I. He was only 16 when we joined the Marine Corps, so he was taken out of boot camp and discharged because of his age. He wasn't old enough to be a Marine, so they discharged him, and they kept me, and I went to overseas after training.
And you were training, you went to San Diego.
Yeah, I was Hollywood Marine. Yeah, all of my brothers were Hollywood Marines, and we took our boot camp at San Diego, and then our combat training in Oceanside, California.
Well, coming from Walsenburg, that's quite a change.
Yeah, yeah,
Been next to the ocean.
yeah.
Which ward did you serve in? And where did you exactly
Well,
travel
I'm
to?
classified as a Korean veteran. All of my brothers are. But I didn't go to Korea. I was destined to go to Korea, but I got pulled off the draft. I was already aboard ship, and they decided to send me back to process me again, and then I was shipped to Japan instead about a month or so later, and all of my equipment and belongings went to Korea, so I was without any uniforms or anything for probably 9 months.
Is that right? So
Yeah.
you were like a civilian there.
Yeah, I was riddled to death because I only had one uniform, and everybody fell out with a different uniform, or the uniform of the day,
Yeah.
and I just had one. So I was riddled by my company officers.
Yeah. Well, How long were you there? In
Where-
Japan?
In Japan,
Mhm.
I was there for 14 months and 18 days.
14 months and 18 days.
Yeah, and I worked in a warehouse unit in personal effects. And consequently, when my CBAG came through, I found it in personal effects in Japan. It went to Korea and then back. And I found it myself because being an artist, I had drawn a picture of Sad Sack on my sea bag, and that's what I spotted when I came through. So I was able to recuperate my belongings.
So that was your first experience in the service where you you practice your art of being an artist. That was
Well, I was an artist before I went in, but I had other duties, so I didn't practice my art when I was in Marine Corps. But I took advantage of the GI Bill and went to art school after I got out of the Marine Corps.
Great. That was quite a lot of help there.
Yeah.
Good. Did let me ask you, what was the most vivid or fond memory of your service that you will never forget? What was it struck you exciting, sad?
Yeah. Well, I think just going overseas, I guess, because it was a new experience for me, and I had never been on a ship, and I think that was probably exciting to me. And then to be in a foreign country where you didn't speak the language or anything, so that was challenging to me, and I learned to speak Japanese quite a bit when I was there.
Wow. Are you still fluent in it?
Not
You can
fluent,
understand
but
it?
I still remember some stuff
Is
like
that right?
Watashi wa anata wa na aishimasu.
Still remember all these years.
Yeah, that's means I love you, or I learned a lot of normal things like morning, good afternoon, good evening, and stuff like that. But I still remember quite a bit of it. But I could never really converse in Japanese.
Yeah.
But I'm fluent in Spanish and in English. So
And English and a little bit of Japanese anyway.
yeah,
What
yeah.
did you think of the Japanese food when you were over in Japan?
I can't hear you, ma'am. I'm sorry.
What did you think of the Japanese food when you were in Japan?
Well, I didn't really like it, but I learned to eat their yakisoba, which is like spaghetti.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of like that. But some of the other stuff, I'm not as advocate of seafood, so I never liked that. But that's a lot that they eat
Mm-hmm.
because being close to the ocean, I guess.
Now, was the scenery, was that contributory towards your wanting to be an artist when you were in Japan?
Was it what?
Contributory to you wanting to become an artist when you came back?
Well, I'd always been an artist, and that was my interest, but I really didn't get into it because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I had an industrial injury,
Mm-hmm.
and I was laid up for almost a year, I guess, because I had my hand, I cut my fingers off in my hand, and I was being rehabilitated, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up art
Mm-hmm.
to pass my time because I couldn't do anything. And my daughter came home with watercolors from school one day, and I started doing watercolors. And I really liked it, so I picked it up. I was already like 25 years old when I started my art career.
Wow. And you started
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you able to use your left hand now?
Yeah, my fingers were restored and I can use it pretty much. I just lost one flange,
Uh-huh.
and but it's restricted, but I still use it.
That's great.
As a result, I became I could use both hands. Ambidextrous, if you will.
Ambidextrous.
Yeah,
So you could draw with both hands and
yeah. Yeah,
Well-
when I was teaching, I could draw with my left hand too, because when you're right-handed, you have your back to the audience. So I drew with my left hand, so I could face the audience.
so that worked out to your favor then.
Yeah,
Well, good. I mean, you made
yeah. Well, I may do.
you made
What hospital were you in when you came back to the U.S.?
When I was injured,
Yeah.
I went to a St. Joseph Hospital, and there was a gentleman there that was a doctor of a bone doctor, and he was also a plastic surgeon, and he did a real good job on my hand.
That's awesome.
And I joked with him when I got through. I mean, when he got through messing around with my hand, I said, "You think I could play the guitar?" And he said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Because I never could before."
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
Well, being an artist as you were, and you still are, what medals and citations for your service?
Just real quick. So it's 13 minutes. We're going through this way too fast. So let's go back to question 1. And I want you to ask 10 follow-up questions for every question on there. Does that make sense?
10 follow-up.
10. 1 0. So when we talk about his childhood, ask questions about siblings,
Okay.
education, those sorts of things. Then, so 10. Then move on to the next question. So ask lots of follow-up questions, because we basically skimmed over the entire military service, right? So we want to ask about those specific events that happened. Ask really broad, reflective questions, like tell me a story about this. Tell me about a time when this happened. And then whenever he gives a response, take a little piece of his response and craft that to ask your follow-up question. Just just be as curious as possible.
Okay.
Yeah, like you're never going to see him again.
Okay.
Use that type of attitude.
Okay.
So let's just start from question 1. And we're still rolling, so don't worry about that. But we just want to go as deep as possible. And then, of course, after 10 or so questions, follow-up questions, move on to the next one. And then Kyle will also ask an occasional question once in a while. But you're the main driver.
Okay.
Yeah. Before we pause, let's do that thumbnail thing.
Oh, okay.
So let's get a picture. Just him.
That is one of my self-portraits.
Did we show this?
Yeah.
We should.
Did we? We did?
We did.
Yeah, we didn't show this.
Want to describe that?
That's my self-portrait when I was younger. It's a pencil drawing. I was quite handsome at that time.
Yeah, you were. And that was a very typical mustache that you wore. You still
Yeah.
have a pretty good mustache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used this for one of my recordings, and that's why I did the portrait.
Yeah. Well,
Just for a thumbnail, I'll have you just show it up nice and high.
And Espinosa should.
Oh, yeah.
We don't want to see your hair.
Okay.
Hold it just a little bit more to your left, in between there. Just much more this way. And then
Hold-
hold it a little farther back. This way, sorry.
Hold it like this. So it should be like to the side of your face.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
you
okay.
got it on camera.
No.
no, put your,
So Espinosa, copy blocking me. So
Put
hold
your-
it like this.
Put your hand.
Oh,
Hold it like right next to your face. And a little bit more space between you. Extend your arms out to the side.
Yeah, just,
And look at this camera if you could.
yeah, this camera. Right here.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Any other portraits? Well, let's just do one more. Let's do the same thing with this photo.
okay. Ah,
So I'll just take this.
okay.
Yep, like that. And look right here. Oh, perfect. Yep. Okay. I think we got it.
Thank you.